Good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to introduce Marek Kalnick, CTO of Theodo Apps. I've known Marek since the early days of Theodo Apps, starting in 2014, when the company was just a handful of people. And I had the privilege of being his executive coach during 3 years. So thank you, Marek. And Marek is a self-taught developer, an entrepreneur, and CTO. Under his leadership, Theodo Apps grew from 2 people to almost 140 just in a few years. His driving question has always been how to deliver high quality software faster. And this question led him to practicing lean thinking as a way to develop people, to structure learning and expose a real obstacle to flow. And now Marek is applying those techniques and the same mindset through disciplined lean experiment to what we can call the biggest shift in software engineering, like the internet, I mean AI augmented development. And Marek is here to share what they are learning at the frontier, what works, what fails, what surprised them, and what it means for the future. So please join me in welcoming Marek, a leader who combines technology, entrepreneurship, and deep lean thinking.
Thank you, Mark, for all those kind words. I will just show you the slides. And yeah, let me start. So hello, everyone. It's morning here. I'm in London. Perhaps some of you are later in the day, but thank you for coming. I wanted to start with a story. And this was a story of my visit to Japan. I went to Japan in 2017. And at one moment, we were looking at this company. So this company is Mifune. They're doing some metallic parts for Toyota. And our lean coach was accompanying us on the trip, made us watch what we call exchange of die. An exchange of die, as you can see in this presses, you have this part, and this is basically the part that produces the shape of the metal. And in 4 aligned presses, they needed to change all of that, stopping the presses and moving very quickly to not block the production line. So we watched the manipulation, and the time it took was 4 minutes 30. And then our coach turned to us, and we were mostly people from software industry, digital practitioners, and she asked us just simply, what do you think? We're like, yeah, okay, interesting. Not knowing much and not thinking much about this industry. And then she told us, in many companies I have seen, this process takes more than 1 hour. So actually what I was witnessing was a world-class performance, but I couldn't appreciate it fully because I didn't have the reference point. So before talking how do we adapt to AI, I wanted to give you the same impression, the same feeling to understand better what is currently going on in software. So this is a screencast from a developer coding with GitHub Copilot, an AI assistant that works along the person in their working environment. But you can see here is the code. What you will see throughout the video is that the code in color is either written by the person or accepted by the person. And then all the code that is grayed out will be what the AI suggests. And when the AI gives a suggestion, a person needs just to press one key to accept this, or they continue writing to reject what the AI suggests. So I will speed it up because this is 2-minute video and we don't need to watch it at real time. And please try to observe what's going on. So all the gray code that appears is the AI suggested code. There are some errors. Okay, they want a function the whole code appeared out of nowhere, then another bit, then another bit, then another bit. And then, yeah, even some very complex calculations are just basically created by AI. So we have more than 60, 70 lines in 1.5 minutes of coding. Looking just at the pure time needed to write that. Like if you're just looking at a normal person typing speed, how fast they touch keyboard keys, this is a 15-minute work. And this work, this doesn't even take into account the thinking part about what I will be doing next, what I do next, what are the formulas. It's basically an 80% reduction out of the box for this kind of feature, for this kind of work. And this video has been recorded 2 years ago. What we are seeing right now is that modern AIs like GPT-5 plus Sonnet 4.5 are autonomously succeeding at 2-hour tasks, even bigger tasks, with just a simple indication, please do that, and then we can give the work to the AI and do something else. What you can see actually here is that it's 50% success rate, but this can be hugely improved by the way the person uses the AI. So we are seeing a massive work displacement with the AI for people who are writing code. And as Mark said, I do care because this is my business. What we are selling is basically time of people who are writing code. They are obviously doing other things, but the main part of their jobs. And the main part of every developer, and we have 26 million developers worldwide, is mostly writing code. So I had to answer the question as a chief technical officer of my company, how do we react as a company for this? And I tried to use Lean to guide me. And if I go back to my trip to Japan, I had a discussion with Regis Medina, who is a Lean coach, who followed me one time when we were at Toyota's museum at Nagoya to show me this graph. And this graph is basically Toyota engineers in the 30s trying to understand the strength of steel depending on the temperature of the steel and the conditions of tempering it. And we discussed this graph, you found it interesting, and then Regis told me one thing that stuck with me really strongly. He told me they are trying to understand how does steel work. From someone who's outside of industry, like for me, steel is a solved problem. I mean, it's there, but there has been a very important research into that kind of things, understanding the material, understanding its properties in different conditions. And I really like the question, how does it work? And for me, this is one of the most important parts of Monozukuri. It's to give the attention necessary to the materials you're using to understand fully how they work. This is what led us to creating a team that was learning what AI is. And I mean learning what AI is from the construction from the construction side, from building AI part, is already a very known subject. People know how to build AIs, but very few people knew how to work with it. So I gave the team one objective. I told them I want one learning per day. Whatever you are investigating, whatever you are trying to learn, your Kanban, your tact is to produce one learning per day, and I want to read a paper written by you every day. So if you watch closely the dates, they didn't quite succeed, but still in a year we had like almost 200 learnings that have been published internally. So the team could explain to me their different experimentations. And then obviously, since we started building tool with that, we also use the Kaizen approach, trying to iterate on different blockers, on different tools, and this led to even deeper understandings. But knowing what a tool is especially with a tool like AI, is just one part of adoption of understanding it. Because the tool is used by humans, I needed to understand what was the impact on the work, on the job. So as a CTO, I took a decision to give free access to AI to every person in my team. And I was just looking at how they react. Some people didn't adopt it. They didn't want to, and it was fine. Some people adopted it and were happy. Some people adopted it and they struggled. So at some time, I launched an internal survey just asking what are your impressions. We don't have many answers here, but also the people who didn't adopt didn't answer too simply. And yeah, I could say, okay, this is great. People love AI, but I don't care for that. What I care is for people who are not loving AI, because this is a learning opportunity for myself and for the team. So we started problem solving. We started looking at a situation in which the AI wasn't delivering correct results, wasn't delivering expected results, and basically trying to connect our knowledge of how it works to the skills and to what happened when we are on the terrain, on the Gemba. And this led me to a conclusion that AI usage is a skill. Because for some people, AI is just a tool I can open, I can call it, it works. But it's actually a skill, and this is my profound conviction on AI. So it's simple. Let's train everybody. I had the understanding and the tool and the material of the tool and material. I had all my Gemba observation and a lot of problem solving with it. So it seems easy to create a training. Well, there's one piece that is missing. One book on training I really like is Jeffrey Likers and David Meyer's Toyota Talent. And this is my favorite graph in the book, and I've shown it countless times to many colleagues. If you want to learn people, you need to have a standard, because learning means explaining how things work and how things should be done. And this is just purely a standard. So the part that was missing from my graph is, defining the standard. But then we stumbled upon a question. What is it we are actually producing? What is the part being built? Because a standard for me is just explaining what is the best way to produce a given part. So if I want to write it, I need first to define what are we building. So in the previous flow, it was easy. The part a person was building was a feature, and to build a feature, they needed some code. And with AI, we're actually starting building a conversation with AI. And those conversations can have different forms, different types. And then those AIs write the code. And then this code generates the feature. So it can be a mobile app screen, a web page, a backend server, whatever. But my part has become a conversation with AI. So I need to redefine it and redefine its quality, and then teach people to converse with AIs to obtain the code they want. So we redefine the job of a developer to skew it more through AI operation and explain to them, so you are building conversations. This is part of the standard. So what you can see here is basically the code. And in this same standard, this is a visual standard I'm including in my training, I am explaining different kinds of contexts a person should give to AI. So this is just part of what we are doing, but there's a new way of thinking. As a developer, I need to think about the context I'm giving to AI, because I want it to realize the task. Once we have written the standards, when I have written the standards, I deploy dojos. So dojos on this kind of things are based on, in our company, are based on videos. So I ask developers to register their screen, to record their screen. Then we meet in small sessions, in small groups, and we are basically watching videos from colleagues and then discussing what happens in the conversation what is the person asking the AI for and what is the result they obtain. And then we try to find ways to get a better result. So sometimes this is training, but sometimes it also leads to problem solving and deepening our understanding of the material. And it was personally very important to me to be the person animating the dojos, facilitating the dojos, because I was learning also doing the training job. Sometimes a person was coming with a problem. They were explaining what their results, what results they have gotten, what were their expected results, and I didn't have the answer. So I needed to do problem solving, deepen my understanding, and this led us to improving our standards. And we found some new mudas, because obviously changing tool, changing the process leads to different outcomes. And to give you some examples, this is one of the most common things I see. People just prompting, asking AI to do stuff, and then they are waiting. And here you can see a graph from a study of developer productivity with AIs. And you can see that violet is people not using AI, classic process, and then green, new time sinks appear, like people are waiting for AI, and also people are more idle, like they are not doing anything, they're waiting for something or just trying to find a new idea. And this I see a lot of, and it made us reflect on what can be the solutions to that. How can we help people be more productive given those new mudas, those waiting? So we are starting to introduce things like asynchronous working, zero-touch prompting, and things like this to try to improve on those mudas. Then a lot of people are working on fixing AI output. So we prompt something, we get a result. I have even people that get frustrated and they are yelling at AIs in full caps text because the AI is not producing the correct output. So we are trying to improve the way we brief AI, the context we give it, to make sure that it has all the information necessary to produce the code and to succeed at the task we ask it. Overprocessing by overprompting is also very interesting. People tend to approach AIs as humans. They talk to AIs as if they were humans. They are using polite expressions. They are using imprecise expressions, and this leads to a lot of waste in time, in tokens, in incorrect results. So all those mudas, we have observed them during the sessions by watching the videos. And this led us to rethink the process, because trying to react on every muda, trying to deepen our understanding, change our way of working to avoid this, made us really rethink the process. And for me, mudas are really learning opportunities. And this is something that's really hard to implement, because very often people see like, okay, so I lost 1 minute here, 20 seconds here, perhaps there's 2 words too much, but I don't care much. And effectively, from the performance reason, on a given task, they are not interesting. But as learning opportunities and as compounded performance improvement opportunities, they are very interesting. So this is a bit of this challenge in coaching people to do that. So we defined and we understood that AI is just a new person in the team, and we also need standards for the AI. This is where Lean plays very nicely with AI, because what we produce for humans in Lean is also very compatible with AI. And this led us to reinvent the job. So don't bother with the graph. And the thing I want you to understand is that here's the developer and everything they are doing. Here's the AI. And here's the code generation part. And there's a lot of stuff going on before we write code. And the person writing the code is more often than not the AI. So after all we have done, you could ask, did it work? We have seen impressive local improvements, like some tasks are totally disappearing, taken over by AI. Measuring performance in software is notoriously hard. No companies are good at that. There's no good method. but we succeeded at measuring some pilot projects, and people were 30% more efficient in build situations. But in code migration, like changing old code to a new platform, we are even 4 times more efficient than before. And this is a talk my colleague Fabrice will be having later on today. And then obviously with all the training, we are having compounding skill growing up at Theodo. We also had a very positive market feedback. Our benchmark with our competitors is very, very positive. And I have a lot of clients inquiring about our training on AI, and we are actually building an offer on that, and we have accompanied multiple clients on helping them adapt AI. There's one but. This is slow. Like training people is a very slow method. It's been 3 years I have been doing that, and we are still not an AI first company in like what would be my ideal flow. And we're slowly getting there, but learning is hard, learning is slow, and every strategy based on learning will be slow. I wanted to tell you all of this because I believe that Lean is the right compass in a technological rupture, because a technological rupture, we need a reaction on a C-level because it needs a adaptation of the company strategy. And Gambas are very important for that. At Theodo, we have multiple sub-brands, companies, and every CTO from a sub-company has started coding again, even though they are C-level, to understand how AI works and working with their people to make sure that they understand the change very closely. Monozukuri is very important because you need to understand the tool if you want to use it correctly. And there's little expertise on the market. You can't hire AI experts. They do not exist. It's too young of a problem. And then problem solving and standards help us in assisting the team with transition, but also help AIs. And this is something that Lean is very important in, because AIs need input, and the standards are great input. And then applying GDoc and just-in-time concepts help us reinvent the process and try to discover improvement everywhere, so we can get above just a simple usage and simple deployment of AI. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I'm free to answer any questions you might have. You're muted, Mark. Sorry.
Thank you, Marek, for this insightful presentation. So this is the time for question and answer. And we have several questions from the participants. Thank you. There's one, your free time from your developers. What do they do with the freed time?
Yeah, so software industry has the advantage that there's too much demand and every client has a lot of ideas, and the limiting factor is money. So free time from developers mean that we can just produce more in less time for our clients. So IT products get cheaper for them. So for us, it's important to be competitive, but the main beneficiaries of this improvement are our clients. But there's an interesting thing going on, because developers are being able to write more code, to deliver more features in the same time. So it creates network systemic effects, because we need to improve on the future design phase. So we need more product manager. We need to be better at designing the features and discovery. And then we need to improve our testing, because there are more code to be tested and to make sure that the quality is correct. So I think the overall ratio will be more demand in different tasks, in different profile types for an IT company. It will change a bit of the equilibrium, but the developers still have a lot of work.
Okay, thanks, Marek. There is also a question about, okay, you shared some insight from 2 years ago, and the participants see that Theodo Apps is already quite advanced. And what would you suggest for companies who are starting that course, that trajectory as of today, how to catch up to speed?
Yeah, I see a lot of companies wasting a lot of time on trying to find the correct solution, like trying to build executive committees deciding which solution they buy, whether it's Copilot, Cursor, or whatever. So this is an area in which there's a lot of waste and a lot of slowdown because the solutions change every 6 months. So deciding something that will not be relevant in 1 year is already a big impediment for others. So my first suggestion would be give some tools to your team, give them some budget to experiment with that. And they might start with 30 euros and it will be already something interesting. And let them experiment themselves and choose the solution themselves, perhaps giving some guidance. Because this is a big blocker for different companies. And then try to create areas and rituals in which people can share knowledge, because they will start generating knowledge locally. They will find solutions that work. They will find good ideas. But the problem is that often it stays local. So try to build group meetings, teams, discussions to get that knowledge.
Yeah. And the Lean system is hopefully, fortunately, it's a very efficient system, a learning system.
Yes,
Okay,
and
thanks, Marek.
perhaps
There are two questions about.
perhaps participating yourself in problem solving and trying to understand those teams will also help out.
Yeah, exactly. At all the level of the company. Yeah. And there are some questions rising about privacy, security. How do you deal with privacy with the AI tool that you provided to all your members, or checking of security of built apps also made by AI or rather human in better on that? But this is internal security and also security of the produced and delivered apps. There are two topics. Yeah.
So the internal security is a bit of a false subject because most solutions use very widely used clouds and very known clouds, and basically a privacy level of Copilot is the same as Microsoft Azure or whatever. So if your company is also already using some digital solutions and you start to reading the contracts, reading the privacy statements, once you have gotten a business and enterprise license, you are pretty much well covered for this. The problem is that many companies do not decide on that. And by not deciding, they're creating what we call shadow AI, because people are starting to use AI by themselves and they're using free solutions which are not that secure. So for me, like the basic answer to that is just get a paid solution for everyone, and it will be a good solution, and you don't need to worry much about the privacy. As for the security of applications, so the person validating the code, the person delivering, and making sure that the code is of high quality, and doing also all the design phase, like thinking about what do I need to cover, how do I need to include the solution, is still the developer. It's their job, and it's nowhere to go. They need to make sure that good security solutions are included in the app. But what I have actually seen is that AIs have very good reflexes on basic solutions, on basic security solutions. So if you're comparing AI to, for example, a junior developer, you will get code that is more secure than anything that would be done by a junior developer. I think that if it's used correctly, it produces even better code and more secure code that you would by yourself.
Okay, thanks. And the last question, because it's 29. What solution would you suggest to use if your code are very confidential? And you would like to use AI to help us. So given your previous answer, is it okay for example, defense sensitive code or something like this? Is it okay?
If you want to, if you have a very, very confidential code, you can run currently an LLM on your machine locally using solutions like Olama, and GPT-OSS is a good coding solution, so you can run it. You would need a computer that's basically a 5,000 euro Mac to run it efficiently, but it is doable. I know some clients who have like delimited not touching zone for AI, and this part of code is not able to be modified with AI, and I understand them. But you can do that with also local AIs.
Yeah. Okay, thanks a lot, Marek. Thanks a lot, everybody. We are running out of time.
Thank you.
The end of the webinar. So thanks a lot, and sorry for the non-answered questions. But let's say keep in touch with Marek for further explanations. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice evening.